This is Performance Anxiety on the Pantheon Podcast Network, and I'm your host, Mark. And welcome super nice guy Smitti Supab to the podcast. He's a bass player for a lot of people, and we talk about a lot of them today. But he's got his own band, Captain Buckles, that's released their debut called Hurry Up. Smitty has had quite an adventurous life, and not all of it revolves around music. In fact, music was almost an accident. He went to China to teach, played in some expat bands, managed a scuba resort, lived with the legendary Chinese dub reggae artist, played monkey shows, and finally wound up in New Orleans. That's where Captain Buckles started. His career has been wild, so it's no surprise Captain Buckles' debut is wild as well. And there's a lot in this episode, so I don't want to waste too much time with an intro. So follow Smitty and the band at Captain Buckles on social media. Pick up the album Hurry Up. Follow us at Performance ANX. Money will get you merch at performanceanx.threadless.com or send us a cup of coffee at ko-fi.com/performanceanxiety. Now get ready to be chill and excited all at the same time with Smitti Supab of Captain Buckles on Performance Anxiety on the Pantheon Podcast Network.
Cool. It's like one of those radio things. Yeah, like a call out. Okay, that makes sense. All right. Well, hi, I'm Smitti Supab of Captain Buckles, based out of New Orleans, and we just came out with our release, our new album, our debut full-length album called Hurry Up, out on Spotify, Apple Music, and YouTube, and Tidal, and Deezer, and all that good stuff. And you are listening to the Performance Anxiety Podcast by Mark Shea. Maybe I should do that last part again, but I don't know if you cut it or what. But let me try that again. You're listening to the Performance Anxiety Podcast by Mark Shea, telling you all sorts of good stuff and doing interviews with musicians such as us, and really giving us a voice for sharing our creative process. And he's awesome. This is awesome. You're awesome. Stay awesome.
Hey, Smitty.
How you doing, Mark?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing good. Good to see you. Thanks for having me.
Oh, of course. It's a pleasure to meet you.
Setting the bar nice and high.
Exactly.
Yeah.
This is nothing if not a first-class podcast. Speaking of that, I'll just be drinking my bourbon straight out of the bottle tonight.
Okay.
So,
right on.
So
I can relate.
Yeah. Before we jump into things, I just want to thank you for coming on. And I know you are literally halfway around the world from where I'm sitting right now. So this was pretty awesome to be able to schedule this. So thank you so much.
Man, like I said, I really appreciate you having me on the show. And it's an honor.
Oh, I appreciate that. Thank you very much. So I like to find out about how my guests get into music, how it became so important to you, because that's the story that leads up to the album that you've just released. You've got a career in music, so it's more than just about the current album. I want to know about how music became so important to you, and some of the fun stories along the way between getting started and the new album. So you are currently in Thailand, where you're sitting, but the band is based in New Orleans. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. And I'm only here visiting relatives for the first time in 7 years. So
wow.
I live in New Orleans. I've lived there for 13 years. Yeah.
So when we were texting a little yesterday, I did tell you that Thailand is one place that I would love to eat my way through. I mean, I love Thai food, and I'm a masochist because they'll ask me how spicy I want it, and I don't go Thai spicy, but I'll go pretty close. And then I will literally start to sweat before the food even gets to my table. I'm so Irish. I'm so Irish. It's not even funny. I'll start thinking about. I like right now. I'm thinking about it. I can feel. My wife makes fun of me constantly. So
it's funny how like psychosomatic a lot of our experiences are.
it really is.
Yeah, it really happens that way.
All right. So what's your favorite dish when you're home? With family, I guess I should say.
Yeah, with family. I think it depends because there's so much variety. There's like so much Thai food here. And so it's like, whatever favorite, if I'll have the pat kimao, the drunken noodles, I'll be like, well, that was super dope. The next meal, I'm only here for, 2 or 3 weeks. And so like, I'm like, all right, well, now I want to try this before I don't get the chance to, or, there's so many dishes like mango sticky rice, drunken noodles, pad see ew, pad thai. They got the like sticky rice with saute.
Ooh, oh man!
They got the papaya salads. They got the tom yum soup. I mean, they really have it dialed in, and all the sweet and the spicy. It's really great. So I really can't say like my one favorite, but one thing that I do always come back for, that I always like think, man, this is going to be super bomb, at least for the first 2 or 3 times I'm having it, right, is in a row or whatever, is like the mango sticky rice. Yeah.
And honestly, I've never been to Thailand, so I have nothing to compare it to, but there's a place where I live in Winchester, Virginia, makes this amazing black sticky rice with mango in it. It is just, oh my gosh, it's my favorite thing. Oh, I love it.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy here because it's only like $2 per plate.
Oh my gosh.
It's really like $2. That's really. So wow. As far as eating your way through everything, you can really just like, you could just go to town, really really hard, and you're not even like scathing your bank account. Like it's not even put in a slight dent in it, which is cool.
Man,
I mean, this is my first time back in Thailand in 7 years, so it's like a different experience. Yeah.
All right, you're making me want to go even more now that I might actually be able to afford to eat there.
Yeah, it's cool.
So
it's cool.
All right, so you're a bass player for this badass band, Captain Buckles.
Oh man, that's very kind of you.
But I want to find out how you got into in the first place. So was bass the first instrument that you learned, or was there something before bass?
I learned clarinet in high school. Nice. And marching band and stuff, and I learned some. I think one guy termed it dorm rock guitar through tablatures, when I was finishing high school and going to college. And but beyond that, I had not touched the bass. I hadn't really done anything musical seriously, I'd say, because I think learning guitar through tablature is very like, it's basically Guitar Hero before Guitar Hero.
Yeah, that's how I learned the little bit of guitar that I can play is through buying all the magazines back in the 90s. So Guitar for the Practicing Musician and Guitar Player and Guitar World and anything that said guitar in it and had a some kind of like Alice in Chains, Soundgarden, or Pearl Jam song. I was like, I'm buying that.
That's one step further than I did. I was just downloading tabs from the internet and just like getting music through Napster and just learning by the numbers. It's almost like painting by numbers.
We'll be right back after a word from our sponsors.
But it really, literally kind of, with the numbers, it doesn't tell you what notes they are. It doesn't tell you the scale. It doesn't tell you where it came from or why. And so I really had no clue when I first started, and I could play a bunch of, 90s dorm rock songs. I learned, how to play a lot of really Red Hot Chili Peppers and Green Day and Coldplay and Third Eye Blind and Goo Goo Dolls and all that dorm rock stuff. But none of that Yeah, I mentioned it not being as musical because the way I learned it was not musical, and also I wasn't very much inspired to. I wasn't playing with anybody. That was for to sit with guitar and fail to try to gain the attention of the opposite sex
Right.
at beach bonfires and stuff.
I would, yeah. Same thing. I did not become a bass player. I just became a photographer instead, but that's a whole different podcast. So, was music important to you growing up? I mean, or was it? I mean, and was there a lot in the house? Did you have any other siblings that were, or relatives that were really into music?
Not really. It was kind of like the one thing that my parents told me I can't do as a living when I grew up. And I wasn't trying to, I was kind of a rebel, but I wasn't like, that was not the deciding factor or the driving factor, I should say.
Okay.
I got a job as soon as I graduated college in computer science from Orange County, UC Irvine. I got a job teaching English in China. I got a job through the internet teaching English in China. So I just like, I've never been there before. I don't speak the language, but it's pretty cool outside the U.S. from my experiences being in Thailand. And at that point I went to choir. I was in choir in college too. Went to Spain and Korea. Oh, wow. And I was like, this is dope. I got to get out of here. George Bush got reelected and nobody cared. Yeah. And I was like, wow.
So, and you're in California at this point? Is it LA that you're from, or?
Yeah, LA. Born and raised in LA, like in a small suburb. It's mostly Hispanic and Asian. Okay. There's like a token white and black person, and but it's really sheltered. I mentioned that because it's really quite sheltered. Okay. And my college that I graduated from in Irvine was very, very specific demographic too. Like I think it was also like 50% Asian or something. Oh wow. And so I hightailed it out to China, sight unseen, because I didn't have any cool friends in other places because I had no way of meeting them. Right. And then that's where I met this one teacher. I call him, I should call him with more reverence and respect, but just how I saw it back then in the first 5 or 10 years, he was like this, hippie deadhead from San Francisco. Well, and I have a picture in my mind already. Yeah, it was, he's like a really cool guy, like I didn't know nothing. And he was playing guitar in his room one night, waiting for another friend to show up. And I just followed the sound in this teacher's dormitory. I was like, oh, that's a Beatles song. I love the Beatles, And then that's how I met him. And years later, he was in a kind of, this might not be a very reverent term also, but it's pretty descriptive, I think. It was kind of like a dad rock band. Okay. But at the time, I thought that was the coolest thing I'd ever seen, because it was the coolest thing I'd ever sseen. And his bass player quit. He was actually just a member of the band, but the bass player quit. And he asked me like, hey, you started to play bass in this punk band. That's a whole nother thing, but I only played like 1 or 2 shows before. Okay. And he's like, hey, I think you can learn to play bass in this band. You want to join? And I'm like, and I thought about it, and I thought about how like listening. I knew I had a greatest hits of Booker T and the MGs. Yeah. And I thought to myself, all right, those have bass lines that are simple and groovy, and I can probably learn it. I can probably learn those bass lines, and that'll probably help me learn all these like other songs, like the Rolling Stones and the band and blues stuff. And so I said, yeah, sure, I'll try it, I'll do it. And that started everything else. All of it kind of happened by accident. I didn't have a clue. Nobody really taught me. My friend, he told me a little bit in the beginning, but yeah, I remember the day he was just like, listen, man, I'm not your teacher. I don't got time for that. Wow. Yeah. So music wasn't even something you were thinking about as far as a career. No, it happened quite by accident. And one of the reasons I credit that accident, for happening is it was in China. I was in China. I was in Guangzhou. There's three main cities, like the most populated cities, like Beijing, Shanghai, and Guangzhou is kind of like the south of China.
Okay.
And it's like an export hub and a food hub. It kind of like a rebel. And so like they had all this money, all these foreigners just opening up, and there weren't enough foreigners to go around. They weren't drawing enough foreigners. And the ones that were there, they wanted to hear, like, we played in Irish pubs and stuff, like, just like kind of, cover bands and stuff. And so all of a sudden, me going from not ever having touched a bass before, I was able to play paid gigs at, the expat bar in a city of 23 million people, and it kind of does it's an interesting situation. It's a double-edged sword for sure.
Oh yeah.
But
it sounds amazing. I'm kind of speechless by that. That's it's really, I don't think I haven't had too many people in there who just kind of almost accidentally, like you said, just stumbled into a career. It's amazing.
Very much accidentally. Yeah. It's funny.
So
yeah,
you're playing in cover bands and all. What drew you back to the States? Was it what came back? And did you go back to California, or did you head to New Orleans at that point, or how did you get back?
Well, I was playing in that one cover band for a while, and I think they played an original here or there once in a while. But it was just continuing, kind of like just like being like, what is going on here? Wow, this is, starting from like, wow, this is a rock band on stage. That's the coolest thing I've ever seen in my life. I would love to do that. And then I was doing it. I'm like, okay, well, this is kind of cool, I guess. And then I would see some other bands. I'm like, wow, that is so cool. They're playing a different style of music. That one's a little more like Latin and funk. It would be so cool to play in that band. And then like a few months to a year later, I was playing in that band. And then and then I was like, okay, well, now I'm in a bunch of different bands. Wow, that guy has his own band. That'd be so cool to have my own band. and then like a few months later, I had my own band, and it was just this one after the other of just like ability to achieve whatever idea you thought was possible or was not. It didn't even enter your mind before. And it got to the point to where like, and I thought to myself until I left China, I thought to myself, wow, like I'm going to be a great musician. I want to be a great musician. Like I could study these songs. I could spend time practicing and getting good. And then when the scene really comes here, when I'll be right at the forefront of it, like,
yeah.
And I'll make all sorts of money, and I'll be famous in China or something. I had some of these ideas. The truth of the matter was, I was being lazy as heck. I'd never practiced. I didn't have to. Like I wasn't getting fired from any of these bands that I was in because there's no competition.
Yeah,
and there weren't a lot of other bands to take our place. And there wasn't a lot of money in it in the first place. I mean, I started doing a lot of what we called monkey shows, which were
okay,
which were like, because there's like a real estate boom going on in China at the time, and they're building these like, 25-story apartment complexes in the middle of nowhere.
Oh.
And they're like, to attract all these buyers, they're having these pre-sale events. And to show the buyers or to impress these potential buyers, they're holding all of these, they have all of these like variety acts, and then they have these bands, and they say specifically they want a white band, like,
yeah.
They don't want somebody that looks like me who's Asian. They want to make it look like they can afford to bring overseas musicians into China.
Okay.
And so like I would do a few of them reluctantly, because I mean not reluctantly on my terms. They were reluctant to have me, but they couldn't find another bass player. All these foreigners, expats in Guangzhou. So I would do some, and then I would start organizing some of them myself because, well, one of the real reasons, and I can talk about it because the market's kind of dried up now, is you get these guys who are doing this. Like, nobody cares about what music you're doing.
Right.
Nobody cares how good it's done. They just care that you're on stage making some noise with some instruments, and you're a foreigner. And so a lot of these foreigners, a lot of my friends at the time, they would get blitzed. They would get they would just they would get pushed the line at, just really push the envelope as much as they could. And they would get fired or whatever. And so eventually some of the work ended up falling into my hands because I wasn't getting blitzed, on these gigs.
Yeah.
Even though I was Asian looking, I had a lot of expat friends, and I would get them on the gigs, and we would do these gigs, and we'd it'd be like a 6-hour drive to the middle of nowhere.
Oh my!
And like in the country, it's just countryside, and then all of a sudden you see like 3 25-story buildings. If you're interested about it, if you want to do more research, or there's a really good documentary that a friend of mine did called Dream Empire, and the director's name is David Bornstein. Bornstein.
Dream
Empire. Yeah, it's pretty cool. It's a really accurate representation of what I'm talking about.
That sounds fascinating.
It's pretty fascinating and very unique, and very that's exactly what was going on. Wow. and so what all that was happening, and I wasn't getting any better. And I thought, okay, well, I started being the music director at this jazz bar. Like I said, going from zero to just being like,
oh my God.
All right, you're asking me to do this? Cool. I put the sound system together. Had no idea. Back then, they didn't have YouTube either. China blocked YouTube and Google and Facebook.
Yeah, I remember.
You couldn't even access it. So even if I wanted to look it up, I couldn't. I just kind of I'm just basically feeling my way in the dark and figuring it out. And then so I got some jazz cats from that I met over the years from Shenzhen over to this jazz bar, and I just got some jazz musicians in this place. And then the boss was basically hey, you're just a middleman. I could cut you out and not have to pay you. And I was like, no, that's not happening. I'm out. I'm not going to give you all my contacts. That's not happening. Yeah. But I kind of held out for a little bit because I thought that, okay, now that I'm in the scene and kind of plugged in, if a really great thing comes in town, then I'm going to be at the forefront of it. And then that thing happened. This really great band from Detroit came in. They called themselves Jammin' Minaj, and man, they're so awesome. This guy, Maurice O'Neill, we're still friends on Facebook and message each other once in a while. I haven't seen him face to face in 13 years. It'd be nice to go make a visit out there. But he had this band with Nile Renee and Jay, this guy Jay, and Butch Ford, and I gotta see. I forgot the name of the bass player. He's James. He's awesome. And this drummer, and they're like a 6-piece band with 2 singers, all from Detroit area. Just super sick harmonies, just super polished. They had their thing. They're inspired by all the greats.
Yeah.
And the reason that they're in China of all places is there was this famous piano player, a classical player named Lang Lang, I think, and he opened his own private club in the middle of downtown Guangzhou, and hired them to play every day, or 5 nights a week or something like that. I forgot the specific details.
Yeah.
For a year for his private club. And my friend, I met this woman, Reggie Brown, a few months before I met them. Reggie Brown was, and the only reason I found out about that was because there's this expat magazine called That's PRD, and told me, and it said that she had a solo residency at this hotel nearby at the Ritz-Carlton or something, and that she was a former Raylette, and and same with Gladys Knight and the Pips, and I was just like, up to then, I was like, these were like my heroes. I remember one of the things that made me quit / get fired, the very first band I joined, the dad rock band, was I remember seeing James Brown's performance on the Tammy Show, like the Teen Awards Music International. It's a famous scene where that is kind of reproduced in the James Brown biopic. And it's the one where the Rolling Stones are on it. And anyway, James Brown this is my first time seeing a video of James Brown. I guess YouTube was not owned by Google then. So now that I think of it, I think I was able to watch YouTube. They just didn't have a lot of people teaching how to do sound systems and book musicians back then.
It is now.
Yeah. And I saw James Brown performing without the lights, without like lasers and a gazillion dancers doing the same thing. It was just him and the Famous Flames. Yeah. And I was just like, what is this? This is unreal. And I said to the band, I'm like, dude, have you guys seen this? And they're like, they watched. I'm like, what are we doing with our lives? Why are we playing music? Like, this happened 30 years ago and we're doing what? Yeah. And they just looked at me and they're like, Smitty, shut up and play bass. And I was like, oh man, I'm out. This is not the way. Right. So I had this reverence. For, some people call it Black American music, from the get-go and for a long time. And so I found out this woman named Reggie Brown was at this hotel. So I went there and I met her, and she was playing with this Chinese piano player who had no rhythm, no sense of time, and no sense of like, it wasn't groovy at all. But Reggie, she crushed it. And I remember too, like I listened for the first set because I didn't know what to expect. But it sure wasn't that. Yeah. And on the set break, I was like, how do you do that? How did you keep your composure and sing? And you've sung with Ray Charles. You know what's good. And you know that this is not good, and you're able to do it. And she said, I haven't told this story in years, but she said to me, she's like, well, I just reached down real deep inside my soul and I bring it out of me. And that really touched me and like kind of set me on the path that I'm on now for sure. And we became friends and over the years. Oh, awesome. And she was the one that introduced me to this band from Detroit because these are some of her friends.
Oh, cool. Okay.
So I see this band from Detroit. First they were in Shenzhen. They were doing some shows there. That was before they got brought into Guangzhou. They get brought into Guangzhou, and then I'm just like, oh my God, they're here. This is awesome. And I would go to the shows, Mark, and there'd be nobody there. Nobody. First of all, it was a private club, but like, I would just be like, whoa, what's going on here? So I brought so many different musicians. I would just tell all these people I knew about it and be like, oh my God, you guys, this is the most awesome thing I've ever seen live in my life. Oh, I mean, it was like hands down the dopest stuff I had ever seen. I mean, like, because nobody came close. I mean, I think the fact that they're like real musicians in the sense that they're really dedicated. I think a lot of it has to do with gospel too, and growing up in church and stuff. But like, as opposed to like expats like me who just show up at an open mic without any real skills and are asked to do gigs full time. Yeah. It's quite the quite different end of the spectrum that I saw, but I would bring all these people over and I couldn't get enough, and nobody kind of understood it. There is, I will say, there is an element of racism in China for sure. That is definitely unaddressed. Like it's quite interesting because I taught when I moved to China for the first time. It was to teach, not to play music. So like for the first 3.5 years, I was teaching fourth through sixth graders, 10 to 12-year-olds. And like, it was interesting that because it would be like, they would like Michael Jackson and Kobe and stuff, but they wouldn't want to like get in a taxi with somebody, with a brother or sister, like, wow. And it's just like, I mean, it's a tale as old as time, but it wasn't only against, I would say it's not just against brothers here. In China, they have like, if you're not from the same province, even, then you don't have the same rights. If you're not from the same family, it's because there's so many people, like you can't, I mean, I'm not trying to give them an excuse. I'm just trying to paint the context a little more fully, that there's so many people. It's so hard to get ahead. If outside of your family, it's hard to have room for compassion for more people when there's so many people, and it's such a brutal reality for a lot of people.
We'll be right back after a word from our sponsors.
Anyway, so I brought all these people there, and none of them got it. And a year came and went, and they had to leave. And I couldn't get any of my friends who book shows to book them. I couldn't get gigs for them, And then I was like, I think before they left, or I decided I was going to quit. I was going to leave town. I had broken up with my girlfriend and stuff. And I was just like, and I had it up to here. There was a stint. There was a stint where, like, check this out. The Peter Green of Chinese dub reggae stayed with me for like 2 months. I forget about this story sometimes. This is right before I left also.
Okay.
Like, and Peter Green in the sense of like Fleetwood Mac Peter Green.
Right, yeah.
Like Fleetwood Mac, the story. He it was a trio. He named it Fleetwood Mac to entice Mick Fleetwood and John McVie into the trio, and it was basically, they had met with playing with John Mayall and the Blues Breakers, and then he goes to Germany or Berlin or he goes to Berlin, I think, or Hamburg, does a music festival, trips balls on acid, and then like decides to donate all the money from the band to charity or something like that. And Mick Fleetwood and John McVie, like, they're like, no, and they kick him out and take over the band.
Man.
And so this guy was like the Peter Green. He brought dub and reggae to China. Wow. He was playing, from all the stories that have been corroborated, to tens of thousands of people. Like just like this guy was. There's some old footage. And yeah, sure, I can say his name. His name was Wang Lei, Wanglei. Oh. And there's probably like hardly any footage of him. I'm sure there's some, but this guy was like heavy, deep, like stoner, like, man, this guy went for it. And like, this guy's like bona fide, like all the rockers. Cui Qian is one of the famous rockers. He's like one of the Rolling Stones of China. When he goes up to Beijing or whatever to see this guy, he welcomes him in and stuff. But
wow,
I think because of the drugs and because he's been jaded, and because he was playing to such huge stuff, and like now everything's become commercialized. There's a number of factors. Who knows how much of them are due to the reality of the music industry, the drugs and depression, and like maybe the inability to reinvent oneself. I mean, like, even James Jamerson, James Jamerson went out not with a bang,
Yeah.
And he was one of the most brilliant. He was arguably the most brilliant pop bassist of all time.
Oh yeah.
But like, yeah, it's interesting how this stuff happens. And so this guy gets introduced to me at this point, also toward my end of the stay in China. And he stays with me for 2 months, and like, he just stays in my room, smokes, whatever, all day. He was playing with a K oscillator. That's what he was doing. He had his girlfriend take care of him. It's this Korg K oscillator. I don't know if you know it, but it's like this yellow thing, and it's like this touchpad, and you put all these different settings, and like, depending on the setting, what you touch does different things.
Okay.
Some are like envelope filters, some are like scales, some are like, you could loop it, and he would just play with this little thing all day. And I'd practice bass sometimes. Like I said, I was pretty lazy. I hardly practiced.
Right.
but he inspired me to practice a little bit. And I remember one time practicing in my living room, and he came out and was like, "Man, never stop playing the bass." And I was like, "Wow, that was cool.
Wow.
That was cool." He said that.
Man.
But then, he got stinky. He wasn't paying rent or anything, and he just didn't do anything. And eventually I had to kind of kick him out. But also I was like, man, when he stayed with me, like, all of these other people came out of the woodwork and were like, oh, like they started admitting that the music scene was way better back in the day and stuff. And like, you guys, none of y'all told me this before when I thought that I was ready to be at the forefront of the music scene.
Right.
And so I got jaded. I was like, I'm out. I threw this birthday party and I had that band from Detroit, Jammin' Minaj, play it. That was like the highlight. That was so cool to see all of so many loved ones there in that band. And then and I left. I was like, okay, I'm out. I'm probably gonna quit music, and I went to Thailand to help manage my mom's friend's scuba diving resort on this paradise island.
Oh my god!
And then, tough life, huh? And he was like, I've just been so fortunate and lucky that I certainly don't complain.
Yeah,
I can't. But these were the opportunities available for me at the time, and I remember before I left for Thailand, Maurice O'Neill from Jammin' Minaj, that Detroit band, him and another friend of mine, Ben Calloway. He's also a pretty important figure. He's an Oklahoma musician, one of the first like blue-eyed soul multi-instrumentalists I ever met. Like one of the like a true musician, not just an expat who fiddled with it and got all these gigs. He was not that guy. These two guys in my grandiose conversations about getting really great in music in China, they would tell me, if you're really serious about music, you should go to New Orleans. And I just kind of heard about it, and I was like, oh, okay. I just had it in the back of my mind, but didn't take it seriously. Mm-hmm. I didn't have the courage to. I'd never lived in a city that had a lot of Black people, because, like I said, even though I was in Los Angeles, I was it was pretty sheltered.
Right.
Suburb.
Yeah.
And so went to Thailand, and after like 3 months there, I was like, wait, they're just chilling here, like.
Yeah.
And I started playing some music there. I couldn't stay away from the music a little bit. I started playing some reggae gigs and like saw the expat scene, and I found myself gravitating towards it again. And I was like, okay, I got to get out of here.
Yeah.
I got to get out of here because I need, and this is how I defined it at the time, and still kind of to this day, is like, I need more soul, I need more soul. I need more soul. And I defined it as triumph over suffering back then. And the other end of it was like some super ultra rich soccer mom in Orange County breaking a nail and her day being ruined completely. Was the other side of that spectrum. And I was like, I need to experience, I'm too lucky. I've been having everything handed to me as an expat in China, as a Thai citizen in Thailand, and I needed more. I was searching for soul. Some people call it meaning, some people call it search for oneself, but I define it specifically as like I need soul. I need to know what that is.
Okay. Oh, interesting.
And by that time, I had watched about 2.5 seasons of Treme. Somebody hit my friend my blue-eyed soul friend from Oklahoma. He's the one who hit me to that show.
Oh, cool.
And I read about it and how it was like really the most true to New Orleans representation on screen as anything more than anything that had come before it.
Yeah.
And so I kind of felt like, okay, I think I could do that. I think I can handle that. And so that was why I went to New Orleans. I didn't think I was going to play music there it wasn't to play music, like I didn't think I would be good enough because,
okay.
I didn't, I just thought that like, I just knew that I needed to experience that like triumph over suffering like that. Yeah. and New Orleans has, because I thought about it too, like Ray Charles, James Brown, Miles Davis, all my heroes. I mean, Miles Davis he had lived a pretty. His parents were pretty well off, but he would fund Charlie Parker's drug habits, from what I understand.
Yeah.
Yeah. But like so like I just decided, okay, I'm just gonna go there. So, I'd never been there before. I did ask around for anybody who knew anybody there.
Yeah.
And nobody did. I got one contact, but I didn't really get in contact with that person. So, and I just booked 4 days at an Airbnb. I had $250 in my pocket. I brought my bass. I didn't even have an amp. I didn't have the foresight to think about that. And That was it. That's how I went to New Orleans. I was like, I'm gonna go live there. And I told my folks, they're like, "What are you doing? You're crazy. Why?" I'm like, "I'm telling you, I need a soul." And second day there, I went to the Thai restaurant to be like, "Hey, hook a brother up." Yeah. I don't have a lot of experience, hardly any, but I'll learn, and I can speak Thai, and come on.
Yeah.
And then they said, "We'll get back to you." And then the third day, I was walking a loaner bike with a squatter at the house to get it repaired, and we passed the porch of this really great guy, Paul Chan. I can't pronounce his name, his last name, but he's this French guy who moved to New Orleans, plays sax for TBC Brass Band.
Oh,
he's a super awesome guy, and he was sitting on his porch smoking a cigarette, and this squatter who was friendly with me, who I was walking with, knew him. He's like, "Hey, Paul, my homie just got in town. He's looking for a job. Like, don't you like manage the Maison Bourbon, the jazz bar on Bourbon Street?"
Yeah.
He's like, yeah. And he looks at me and he's like, "Can you serve cocktails?" I'm like, "Sure. I'll learn." Like I've never really done it before. He's like, "All right, show up at the bar in the afternoon." And that was my third day in New Orleans. Wow. And I showed up. And I got hired, and then the fourth day, I asked the guy who was running the Airbnb, I'm like, "Hey man, can I keep this room for a month and pay you when I get my first paycheck?" And he's like, "Yeah, cool." And then like a week later, the Thai restaurant called me, and they're like, "Hey, we can hire you." And I'm like, "Sorry, I'm working a lot closer at this jazz bar." And like, and then like within 2 months, I was playing like in the original band of the people in the Airbnb I was staying at, and then like 2 months, 2 months later, this one funny everybody's crazy. Like I don't trust anybody who's not crazy nowadays. So when I say the term, this crazy blues guy named Troy Turner. Yes, very much so, especially in New Orleans. He was like, I think he was pretty lit, or he's over it or something. And he's just like, "All right, does anybody want to play guitar?" And I was either on break or off my shift. And like, I hadn't played guitar in a long time. And I was like, me, I want to play.
Oh, wow.
And so I went up and sat in and had a ball, like, and then the next day, like one of the music directors of that bar said, "Hey, I heard you play guitar. You want to do this crappy noon to 3 gig on Bourbon Street for $33 a man?" And I was like, "Oh my God, yes." Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
And that's how I continued to just like, I don't know. I want to call it falling forward, because it was gravity that kind of brought me. And like, I wasn't really like, it wasn't like me, like really, I wasn't jumping much or like running hard. These things just kept kind of falling in my lap.
It sounds to me like the music is finding you. Like no matter where you're going, it's finding you, and people are finding you who will help you out and further you along. And that's magical. I mean, that kind of stuff is amazing. It's beautiful. And I'm curious to find out. I mean, you've played with some amazing people. I mean, let me put like Eric Lindell, Mem Shannon, Ephraim Towns, Darcy Malone and the Tangle. I mean, so you went from playing in a cover band in an expat bar in China to playing with some of these legendary New Orleans players. I mean, that's incredible. That, to me, it sounds like hard work and, like I said before, the music finding you, almost like seeking you out.
It's pretty cool. I haven't really looked at it that way. The way I've seen it is, but that might be true. I think the way I see it is like, well, first of all, being a bass player, like, is such a at its best, and without being a band leader, it's such a selfless instrument. Like, the bass player has to be in most musical contexts. There's some genres of music where it's not, but in most genres of popular American music, the bass player is the only one that can't take a break.
Yeah.
I mean, the drummer also. The drummer is difficult, but the drummer doesn't have to worry about chord structures and harmony. And I mean, the best drummers do care about that stuff. But as far as what you have to know and learn to do your job on the bandstand, I think choosing to play bass has a lot to do with it, and also just being open and saying yes. Because I took the place of a lot of bass players who were too good for the gig, or would play too busy, or and I never got that good or something, or like enough. Yeah. And I mean, it's interesting too, because, I read Muddy Waters' biography. I forgot who wrote it, but, he had trouble keeping people in his band because everybody he got in his band became stars in their own right.
Yeah.
And so, like, in a lot of ways, that's kind of true. You can only keep bass players or people who really excel for so long before they desire some more, and like, even myself, even not being a great bass player, I was like attracted to other styles of music and didn't just stay in one band. There wasn't any one band that held my attention until Captain Buckles, really, kind of. But even then, like I play upright bass. I started playing upright bass about 8 years ago.
Oh, cool.
And it's the same thing. It's like, it was like, I had never touched an upright bass in my life. Didn't know how to play in tune because I had never done that before. Didn't really take any lesson. A good friend of mine, Sam Albright, hung out with me for an hour a long time ago. I don't know if I'd call it a lesson, but that really opened my eyes to some things. And
wow.
and then all of a sudden I'm playing upright bass with like some of the most in New Orleans. It's like New Orleans jazz, New Orleans traditional jazz, and it's New Orleans. So like, all of a sudden sometimes I'm playing upright bass with some of the best New Orleans jazz players in the universe. And it's like, what is going on here? Why? What? And it's been crazy. But and I did say that I never practiced before, but like 2 or 3 years ago, I did start to practice. Yeah. I did start to practice. So that's really leveled up everything. Like, just to be motivated to practice has been, so even though I did, by blind luck and circumstance, fall into these situations, I just want to let it be known that, like, I take it seriously enough now to feel the duty and responsibility to, like, give it a little more love and respect, and pay it more respect. Like, playing, not practicing and not giving it what it deserves is kind of, and playing with such great cats I feel like is really, I think is kind of rude. Yeah. And I mean, it's one thing if you don't know that you're not doing it right, or you're not paying it respects, but it's another thing when you do know and you're not doing it. Yeah. You're not choosing to do that. So once I realized that, and also once I started figuring out how to enjoy practicing, then I started But yeah, it's been great.
Oh, that's awesome. So
Crazy.
how did Captain Buckles form? How did the band come to be?
I had a friend come to stay with me, a sax player that I knew in my China days. And he lived with me for a few years. And then he was like, hey, we should start a band. And I was like, why? Like this is about 6 years, maybe 6 years or 4 to 6 years into being in New Orleans. And I kind of put some things together, but there wasn't a lot of impetus to, like I wasn't a front man. I wasn't singing lead a lot. I would mostly sing. I was in like 5 different bands, one that played country music, one that played blues, one that played funk, one that played pop, and one that played and then I forgot what the other one, I was basically playing all the styles of music I wanted to.
Yeah.
This is before I played upright. I was making a comfortable living as a musician, and every time I put a band together, it didn't really it didn't really make sense for me to be the one to put the band together. Like the weakest musician is often the boss, because they're the ones hustling the gigs and getting the gigs instead of practicing their instrument.
I didn't think about that.
I mean, sometimes, like, of course, there's plenty of exceptions to the rule, but it just wasn't like, I was in the learning mode. I wanted to learn. I didn't feel ready to start a band, but my friend at the time encouraged me to start a band so he could be in it, and so
you start a band so I can be in it.
It's kind of like that, but
I like it.
But it was also an impetus to start a band, because I knew that there's somebody who can rock and roll on the sax, and do this thing, like I could kind of depend on, or at least thought that I could depend on.
Yeah.
And I thought about it, and I was still like, why? And then one night, it was like a sleepless night. I thought about it and gave it extra thought and couldn't sleep. And I thought, okay, I got it. I got a reason for it. It's gonna be. And I took inspiration from going to a bluegrass festival called the Walnut Valley Bluegrass Festival in Winfield, Kansas. And I had gone there. My friend that I told you, Ben Calloway, who's a multi-instrumentalist, he told me I got to come out there. And I went out there and I saw bluegrass for the first time. And this is before I had been to like a gospel church, was the first, before I had gone to so church. Other than that, the church setting was the only other time that I saw this, where it was people playing music truly for community and not for fame or money. So of course, some people were there to do that, but it was not that. That wasn't the point.
Yeah.
It was so clear, and everybody took turns, and there was no, you didn't solo on 3 choruses. It was one chorus, then the next person, that's it.
Yeah.
You call a song, and then the next person, you don't call 2 songs, Yeah. And that vibe affected me so deeply that I was like, wow, because before that, I didn't know that existed.
Oh,
that was possible. Just like everything else, every single thing. I didn't know it was possible to live in New Orleans, all of these things. So I started the band with the premise of, okay, it's going to be a band of sidemen.
All right.
And I don't want it to be a band yet. Because I saw a lot of bands that started with this, you're either with us or against us mentality. And and then, when somebody would quit or something, the band would break up and it'd be short lived. I was in enough bands and saw enough bands to know better than to have this in or out mentality.
Okay.
And I had it to where I told all the guys, the first 5 guys that made the band up, I told them, all right, listen, this is a band of sidemen. It's not really a band. If you got to sub it out. I want to play with different players. I want to, the point of this is not to be a band. The point of this is to play with a bunch of different sidemen and have fun.
Awesome.
And yeah, and the other two rules that I had coming into it, I almost called it, one of the band names I was thinking about was algorithms, like algorithms, because it was founded on these rules or these ideas.
Yeah.
And the second idea was everybody in the band would bring five tunes to the table. So if there's five of us, we'd have a set list of 25 tunes. And whatever five tunes they were, we would learn them and we would do them.
Okay.
And so it's like you get sidemen from other bands that don't get to play their favorite song. Well, this is the band that they can. And so all of a sudden it was super cool. It was great. And then the third rule, and this rule, none of these rules lasted that long. Like, they lasted for at least a few years, but
Okay.
but I mean like, and the third rule was like the one that was like I thought would focus the band in a way that was not before, and make us play for each other in a way that I never saw other bands play. And that was like we would take turns calling tunes on stage,
Oh, nice.
and nobody could pass, and nobody could say no to whatever somebody called.
Wow. Okay.
And that was the experiment. And the reason I thought of that was because I'd been in plenty of bands, including when I did put together bands myself, or, like put together bands where I'd call a song, or the band leader would call a song, and one or more of the band members would be like, "Oh my God, that song again," or that song is lame, and I would see what would happen on stage within the band dynamic, like how much the tires got deflated,
Yeah.
the vibe would get really deflated. I would see that happen. I would see how that would affect the audience also, but more importantly, I would see how that would affect the band leader. And that rule might have come up as an idea to like deflect responsibility as a band leader also. I'm not saying it's all this, like, I'm not trying to hype myself up, for sure. Definitely not trying to hype myself up.
Yeah.
But this idea of like, we're all sharing responsibility and we're all playing for each other, trying to design it so that like as easily as possible, it is playing for each other.
Yeah.
Like, we're not playing for the bitchin' guitar solo. We're not
Right.
playing for like, like some of us might be playing for the girls, but like the girls don't care or not whether or not we say yes or no to this song, but like,
Yeah. Yeah.
and so it was that for like 6 years or something like that. And then finally, when Alex, the guitar player, Alex Mallet, when he joined the band and he let us play his original music, then it kind of started shifting. And then like I got Rob Davis in the band. He's our second keyboard player, or I don't think there's a first or second, like I don't want to. But Rob, he's an amazing multi-instrumentalist. He sings his butt off and great, and plays cymbale and guitar and bass also on shows.
Wow.
And also has been on Bourbon Street singing all the covers that I've been covering and all the other members of the band have been covering for years. So I thought that like, okay, cool. With Rob in the band, we can just play covers and some originals and like mess around with the covers and make it our own, or maybe, or one idea I had was like, when we tour, as far as making money goes, we have this unique ability to like, yeah, maybe we do this festival gig where we do our original music, but on the way there, we could play like 5 bars or venues in a row that are like cover band or tribute shows, even, because our bag is so deep and we can pull it off and crush it. But then after like a few months or something of shows with Rob in it, he was just like, man, I love this band because I get to play originals with you guys. I don't want to play those covers. And so I'm like, all right, okay.
Yeah.
That's cool. I don't need to play these covers. I don't have to. I mean, like, I'm not in as many cover bands anymore that play the covers on electric bass. I play all the covers on upright bass in like the New Orleans jazz.
Oh wow, okay.
But not so much on electric nowadays. But he does it all the time, so he gets his yayas out there, and I'm like, okay. I thought that playing covers with us, because we have a lot more fun, would be different, but I guess not. That's okay. And the reason I mention that is because I also want to point out that the goal of the band and what the band is has always been experimental and shifting. And one of the things that I have kept consistent about it is this idea that I wanted to let gravity do its thing.
Okay.
I saw a lot of bands that were, myself included, where in the past anywhere, where the members of the band would be in the band because they do some bitching gigs, or they could tell other people that they're playing with this person, or they could go on tour, or they can, they're trying to advance their own thing, profile or whatever,
right?
And not because they're actually into the band or the music, or they would be into the band or the music for a little bit and then get bored real quick and then like not know how to get out of it or something. And I didn't want that. I wanted guys that would be stoked about playing every show, like I wanted to let people like kind of help shape what their idea of a dream band was. My idea of a dream band was certainly that, like that all the people in the band would want to play in the band.
Yeah.
And I didn't really dream that it was possible that I would have 4 or 5 guys that would be so down and invested in it. I just thought like, it might be me and one or other two other people.
Yeah.
Maybe, and like it kind of be like a satellite around that of musicians. And it has kind of been like that for a little bit until recently. But the way it's gravitated to, the way we've gravitated towards each other now, it feels good to be able to feel and say with some confidence. I mean, some of the guys might listen to this podcast, they might not, we'll see. But that might agree that like, wow, all the guys that are in it and doing it, and I check in with them. I actually have conversations and ask them because I want to know, and I want to check in, like whether or not this is a band that they dig, what is going on with it that they like, what is going on with it that they'd like to change, and we've done this together for almost 2 years now, or just over a year and a half or whatever. And it's dope. And that is what makes it super dope. Like that's what makes it different from other bands. And that's why I'm on this podcast talking about it.
It sounds like it's a musical collective more than a band. It's like there isn't a set structure. Everybody can bring in what they want, and there isn't like you started the project, but everyone's welcome to put in their opinions and their music and their thoughts. And if I was a musician, that sounds like the kind of band I would want to be in. It sounds like a lot of fun to play in.
Yeah, it is. It's a lot of fun. It's a dream band, and it is kind of like that. We really when we went in to record the album, like I hardly told anybody what to do. Actually, either of us hardly told each other what to do. Like pretty much ever. Yeah, we just like someone would have an idea and we just go with it. And it's a conversation that I've had with the band, with all the members of the band separately and together too, multiple times. It does take reminding. That reminder is like it's like a comedy trope is, you never say no when somebody says something to you.
Yeah,
you say yes. Yeah, yes and yeah. And that's kind of what we've been doing. And it's like, it's funny. I mean, I catch myself saying no sometimes, and I'm like, oh, why did I, like, should I have said no? And I used to say, when we're on stage, sometimes we call songs and one of us strongly disagrees or something, like, but yeah, it is cool. It's cool. And it's cool that it is a collective, and it's cool that it's not a collective in the sense it's not overpopulated. It's like 5 guys. and it's the same five guys so far. And
it's not directionless, which can be an issue if there's no specific band leader. You run the risk of not having a focus and people just drifting out because nobody knows what they're doing. So I don't.
We love music. We love music too much to because we're all sidemen in a bunch of other projects. All the other guys are now. I'm not so much. I'm more like a hired gun on Upright nowadays and a sub.
Oh, that's awesome.
I'm mostly a sub. Yeah. I'm mostly like a sub nowadays than a sideman. But
still, man, that's awesome.
Yeah. Sideman's I feel like there's more reverence in some ways.
Right. Yeah.
So like a session musician or something.
Right.
Like
yeah. So this album is so cool. I've been listening to it for days now, and it's so the album's called Hurry Up, and that's the first track, and it's really. I've always wondered about this, and maybe you can clear this up. Songs like Hurry Up, because those are the only lyrics in the song. Is that considered an instrumental when it's just like the song Tequila? The song comes out of it, Tequila. The only lyrics in the song, you play an instrumental stretch and then hurry up. Is that considered an instrumental, or is that not an instrumental?
I don't know, man. I think we're gonna have to ask ChatGPT or Grok for that.
All right, we'll do that. We'll put that in the show notes and see if we get an answer.
I'm sure there is an answer out there that it's kind of defined, because we probably aren't the first to wonder about it. But it's also, I still haven't discovered the answer yet. So
exactly, it may be one of those things that there is no answer to.
Yeah.
So I love the fact that the album's almost split between instrumentals and vocal tracks. There's a lot of instrumentals on it, and I'm a big instrumental guy. I love instrumental music, and your back-to-back songs, It Is and Cringe, are amazing. It's got this really cool classic, funky soul mix. And I'm going to add some clips to the podcast so people can kind of get a sense of what I'm saying. Cringe just blew me away, because it's kind of like funky Black Sabbath meets funky Pink Floyd, and it's my favorite track on the album. It is so great. How do you guys come up with that? I mean, is that something that you guys jammed on, or is that one of the songs that somebody brought in?
Yeah, that's a dope song. I love the way it's come out too. Alex brought out Itis. It's
Itis. Okay.
Itis and Cringe are both Alex's songs that he wrote before he joined the band, and but we've also played them for so many years in so many different ways with so many different subs that we've really and it's been cool. Alex has been really open to hearing how one approach is one drummer's approach is how different that is from another, and he'll let that happen rather than be on stage or in rehearsal be like, no, this.
Yeah.
He does that sometimes, but he really lets it happen. I mean, some of it's also out of necessity, because when we're doing a show with a drummer sub, this is before 2 years ago, because we've had our consistent guys for a while.
Okay.
But these songs are not the easiest songs to play.
No.
And it's like this, I call them, there's some prog rock in it, like King Crimson or Rush kind of thing. And so some drummers, especially drummers, I mean, I've screwed up these songs for years. I still do sometimes, even though I've played them for years. But like, you get these drummers who get the song less than a week in advance sometimes. Like, they're gonna miss stuff and do things differently. So you have that element into it also. And not having an album out until now, and good recordings, clear or whatever, that are consistent. So all this to say, the evolution of these songs have had a lot of room to breathe. Like, the songs have had a lot of room to evolve and breathe, and over the years, and the way it's come out now is like, it's really a product of experimentation, but also very much, Alex's song. Like, a lot of us have been like, oh, maybe we should do this, and Alex is pretty good at saying yes, and like, oh, that sounds cool, if he thinks it's a good idea. And sometimes he's like, no, I want to keep this way, and we're like, all right, cool.
Yeah. You mentioned experimentation on this, and the album is 7 songs, and the songs aren't super long. They're not these extended jazz odysseys or anything like that. They run between like 3.5 to 6.5 minutes. Do you do a lot of experimentation? Do the songs grow when you play them live, or because it sounds like the music is perfect for that kind of jamming vibe, that jamming on stage and just experimenting live and seeing where it goes? Is that something that you guys have built these songs to do?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, when we're on stage, we're listening. That's the best part about this. I love this band. Like, nobody's ever like going off because we would be able to tell at this point.
Yeah.
It's so, and maybe we get distracted or drunk or stoned or whatever else can happen. Although nowadays the band's a lot more sober than we've ever been, just because I guess we've done it for so long, and I don't know. Just put that out there. I mean, I just read Chuck Berry's autobiography, just finished it.
Oh wow!
And I didn't know he was stone cold sober his entire career.
Oh wow!
The guy who invented rock and roll was sober. So like, you can say what you will, or say what you want, but like, that's what happened.
Yeah.
It's not all about the British rock and rollers,
right.
But what I want to say was like, we're listening, and so we're even when we recorded it, we were listening, like listening to the soloist to build or bring it down, or like, and when the soloist is finished, like it takes a certain kind of cadence to be able to get to, like, you have to be able to say it in your solo. Sometimes you can say it in your solo. Sometimes you have to like look up and be like, I am finishing now.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's a lot of ways to cue it, but it seems like one of the things that we've gotten really good at, and I think the things that we could be said that is a reason for our chemistry, or defines our chemistry, is like we're really in it. We might not be playing modern jazz, and I use that as an example because I think modern jazz musicians and great jazz musicians are, like, jazz is kind of like, you kind of have to practice.
Yeah.
It's like, it's a tradition. The music is the tradition is of practice and knowing your instrument and going sonic.
Yeah.
It's not like rock and roll where you're supposed to, where you have a lot of examples where people just get wasted on stage and just like riff on something that is not too terribly difficult.
Right.
Or you don't have to, you don't really have to be too great of a listener to be able to do like, all right, there's 4 bars to this and 4 bars to this, and then this, and then like, so like we do get distracted, but as far as not really being like serious jazz musicians, I feel like our jams are pretty in tune with each other and focus on the song, and not so much on the ego. And that part's really, it's great. And the songs are kind of like written as skeletons and what's the word? Just kind of tools to get there. Okay. Like excuses to have fun. Yeah. And during our live shows, like somebody will be taking a solo and then they'll hit on a riff that's like a familiar pop riff, and the band might latch onto that, and we'll just like go into that song. Like we might go into like Michael Jackson's "Just Beat It" in the middle of one of these itis or something. Oh wow! And then riff on that, sing a little bit, and then get out and come back into the song. So you never really know the way the songs are recorded. Capture the chemistry, but and the way they're experimented with isn't exactly too crazy, because we wanted to put something down that didn't get too long-winded. I think the longer a thing is, it's you really have to have something to say for that long, and the backing band really has to be able to listen and move with you dynamically and be into what you're saying and listen to what you're saying. And sometimes what happens, I think a lot of times what happens, especially in the rock and funk realms, more so than the jazz realms, is and this is from my own experience playing and backing up solos who take long solos. It's like I'll sometimes zone out. I'll either zone out or start running out of things to play, or getting bored of playing the same thing while the soloist is supposedly saying something. And that opens a whole nother, that's a whole nother discussion. But
the listeners could be doing the same thing.
Yeah, listeners could be doing the same thing, but the soloist could be doing the same thing. The soloist could be like just playing music, playing notes, but not actually saying anything.
Yeah, and then the listener gets bored as you do, get up there playing the same thing.
As the band might get bored. So there's so much going on in solos or in playing music that so many people aren't hip to. I wasn't hip to, certainly until I don't know. I started really listening to solos and lyrics maybe about 6 or 7 years ago.
Yeah.
After playing professionally for like 10 plus years, it took me that long to like develop the ability to like actually dedicate some of my brain power not only to, oh my God, what note do I play now?
Yeah.
To like, I finally, at some point, 10 years later, I developed the ability to like, oh, okay, I think I can trust that my body's just going to know what to play, and I can actually listen to what the words are while the singer's singing, while I'm on stage without screwing it up.
Wow. Oh, I don't know that I could do that. I don't know if I would ever trust my body enough to do that. But I don't do it professionally, and I haven't done it. I've actually played a guitar in 2 year. So, but
you'd be surprised. You'd be surprised.
I've got a pick. See, I've got a little. There's my guitar. I got a little set, my little Marshall.
Nice
half stack.
Yeah,
it's been sitting there. It's dusty. I gotta clean it. But the album is not all instrumentals, and there's some vocal tracks. And my favorite is This Time. I love that swampy feel that it's got. It's my favorite vocal track on the album.
but it's not gonna get me down. It's not gonna get me down. It's not gonna get me down this time. Jump right in your raging river. Thought that
I guess the question that keeps popping into my head as I'm asking these other questions is, how did you come up with the name Captain Buckles?
Oh, that one's it's a song and album by David Fathead Newman, who was a sax player for Ray Charles.
Okay.
And that was one of the first songs we covered. And he was a sideman, kind of like the king of the 16-bar solo.
Oh wow.
And we don't have a sax player in the band anymore, but like it's pretty fitting. And it's also kind of this, it's very ambiguous. And it's also kind of like, the Rolling Stones named their band after a song.
Yeah.
And there's some tradition to it also. Well,
it's a fun name, and the music is fun. It's so much fun to listen to. It makes me feel good. It's not like, there's certain bands out there that I'll listen to, and at the end I'm just like, oh my gosh, I am just depressed. Why did I listen to that? And this is not any of that. I mean, even the songs that you would think sound sad aren't sad, like Bus Station Blues and Raindrops on Mardi Gras.
And we're dancing like we just don't care, 'cause we got sunshine in our souls. They're still trying to keep us down. No, we're gonna keep on coming like raindrops on Mardi Gras. Raindrops on Mardi Gras. Raindrops on Mardi Gras.
Great. I mean, they're not depressing sounding songs. I mean, some of the subject matter might be, but it's the whole band just sounds upbeat, and like you guys are really having fun and enjoying the music, enjoying playing with each other.
Yeah, I'm really glad that came through, because that was the most important thing that I wanted to truly come through. That was the point of all of this,
yeah.
I wanted to capture the band as the band, and a lot of bands didn't have a lot of vocals. A lot of bands that are our heroes, like the Meters and Booker T and the MGs, they had a lot of instrumentals, and they were able to convey this feeling without having to have some powerhouse singer and stuff. And then there are bands like The Band, which had a bunch of different singers, and Richard Manuel and Levon Helm sounded really great, but they also had Danko singing on some of them, and they didn't let Robbie Robertson sing, but maybe that's not a bad thing or whatever. I think the thing about that I want to say is, like, on the last waltz where he's like positioned in the center with a mic, singing into the mic.
Yeah,
just like, that's the one thing, everybody's got beef or takes sides between Levon Helm and Robbie Robertson, but it's like Robbie Robertson deciding to do that is like, come on, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. Come on, man.
Yeah. No, I agree with you on that.
The mic's not even on. But but this idea this idea that we're like, it's not about like showing off, and it's not about it's not about rising above other people. It's about having fun and sharing our love and passion for music. And to do that was, I didn't really know if it was possible or if it was going to happen. And so for it to happen in the way that it did, and for you to feel that, or there are some people who are musicians, or like who say certain things, and some people who say that they listen to it more in passing. But it's really nice to hear. It's really nice. Every opinion counts, and it's really nice to hear that you dig it in that way. That means a lot. It means a lot to me and
It's
us.
so much fun to listen to. I've really been. I try to listen to the album. I kind of wait until I start doing my research for each guest. So even if I schedule somebody like a month in advance, I probably won't listen to it until a few days ahead of time. Then I'll listen to it 2-3 times a day for like 3 or 4 days in a row, just to kind of get a concentrated feel for it. And I really liked going back to it. It was so much fun to listen to. So, are you guys going to support this with a tour? Or, I mean, I know you guys you're playing with multiple bands each. Are you going to be able to tour to support this album?
I don't know. We did have an album release party. Like I said, we're a band of sidemen.
Yeah.
So the one thing that makes this album a little bit different from some bands, I think, is that everybody's in so many other bands from the get-go. And this style of music isn't the most popular right now. I mean, the bands that are doing this style of music and that are really making it big and crushing it and doing big tours are like Fish. Yeah. The ones that I can think of off the top of my head, like Fish, The Grateful Dead, Krungbin, I guess kind of Wolfpack, Kung Fu is another one I've heard. Some of these, they're kind of in the jam band genre and stuff, and they have huge rabid fan bases. And I think that a lot of the fans of this music have come up to us at our shows and be like, "Oh my God, you guys would be great at this thing." Like, I think that when you're playing to 1,000 people tripping balls, like there's a certain aesthetic and a vibe that is good to play for them.
Yeah,
that they would really dig, and I think we'd be perfect for that. I think, and these people, these practitioners, these kind of fans have expressed how much they like us. Yeah. As much as that is the case, building a fan base locally like that, there's not a lot of jam band fans in that regard. Maybe not enough to go around. Maybe there's some bands. Yeah, there's a few that have built up their base, but like as far as what that entails and what that means, also, I'm not really sure that that's our path, because we're just doing this for the music, a lot of it, including myself, I just want to write songs or help my friends write songs, and I also like messing around with covers. I just want to play music and crush it and have fun, and like playing live for people is great, but and playing this kind of music live for people is great, but I don't have to play it every day to get my yayas out. Yeah. And also, if I were playing it every day, it's a different thing,
That's true.
It's also kind of a different beast. So as far as like rushing towards it or wanting that or seeing that as an end all be all or a dream situation, I feel a little more cautious of. Although I think that what would happen is, let's say if we did like 2 weeks of tours and we played 2 weeks with only like 1 or 2 days off, I think what would happen is we would really have a ball and really experiment and take these songs to another level, because we love to take risks. Like, we just played this festival called Wild Things Family Reunion, and it was so much fun. It was affirming in the way that this album being recorded and being finished and put out was affirming. Oh, and it was awesome. And there's one cover that we had never played before, that Rob wanted to do. It was Money for Nothing by Dire Straits. Oh. And we didn't know it. We didn't know it. We kind of like we rehearsed it once before the show, and I was just like, you guys, just because it's a festival gig, we gotta take risks.
Yes.
And I was hoping that the band would be down, and we did it, and we crushed it, and it was awesome.
Oh man,
and like
to hear that.
Jeez. Yeah, it's cool. I got a recording of it, actually, and I'm like editing the footage.
yo, that's the way you do. Play the guitar, the MTV. That ain't work. That's the way you do. Money for nothing and the chicks for free. That ain't work. That's the way you do. Let me take you in guys and down. Let me get a twist on your big thing.
See, I don't really know what to do with it exactly, too. Like, okay, there's ways to like do the social media thing to make things go viral and stuff.
Yeah.
But I also don't know, if things will go viral, if I want to make things go viral, like there's so many things. So we'll see what happens. But, I do want to reach a point where instead of like knocking down doors or asking or, or I'd like to reach a point where somebody thinks that there's enough money or potential or impetus to do it a lot more often or to do big tours and stuff. Yeah. Because that's another thing too. If you're doing something for the money, or if you're doing something thinking that because you want to do that and nothing else, that puts a different spin on it. It puts a different intention on the music.
Yeah. And
so I'm also I'm paying attention to that. And not just using it as an excuse for lack of success, but but I've been in successful bands before, I think, or I've certainly played in very successful projects, and I don't want to tour with a band that if my heart's not in it, I certainly don't want to tour with a band where any of the members' hearts aren't in it. I want to do as much win-win as possible, and of
course,
and like a dream tour, and so we'll see what happens. If that can happen, then that'd be great, and if it doesn't, we're doing our thing anyway. So I think what's more important for me is that it's already out, so that's cool. The album's out, and I'm still super my heart is very full right now. Good. Fuller than it's ever been in my life.
Oh, that's awesome.
But as far as down the line, I think it's, if we write more songs, the focus would be like writing more songs together and having more ideas. And there's a lot of songs that didn't make the album. Maybe we'll record a good version of them. Maybe we'll move on and write some other stuff. But the goal is to make good music, have fun doing it in a way that is very collaborative and together, and touring may or may not spur that on. So, but it's certainly not it's not the end all be all goal of any of this.
Okay. What is the best way for people to find the album and pick it up and listen, support you guys?
There's Spotify's got a donate to the band button on PayPal.
Cool.
And we have a website, CaptainBucklesBand.com, and we have our music on Apple Music and Deezer and Tidal. I think that's for purchase.
Okay.
That helps, because Spotify is just streaming.
Yeah.
And YouTube is just streaming. It's nice for it to be available for people because, like I said, it's. But as far as supporting, telling people and people who organize festivals. If you know them, that's to get us there. Yeah. I think that'd be awesome. Getting the word out, to the jam band scene, because a lot of jam bands historically don't record such pop-in albums, I think. That was also that was kind of a challenge that I wanted to overcome, or at least I had the idea that we jam out like jam bands do, but we're also going to be able to record something that I want to listen to again.
Yeah, if a jam band records an 8-track album, it's going to be a double album, and each song is going to be like 15 minutes long.
Yeah, it certainly seems to be the case. Yeah. And so I think there is some value in our band, at least that value that is special and different and worth adding onto the roster of jam bands and jam band festivals. And the fact that it's really steeped in New Orleans grooves, we really we really have soaked in a lot of that and continue to and love it. So that's one thing that a lot of jam bands aren't able to do. Also all the covers that we do, we don't actually have to learn a lot of them because we've already learned them.
There you go.
And we can really mess around with them in ways that I think a lot of jam bands aren't composed of a bunch of Bourbon Street musicians.
That's you guys have definitely a unique sound in for the jam band world.
Yeah. So I think that's how I foresee it happening, because Rob's got 2 kids, Alex has got a kid on the way. Like I want kids, and we're not going to be able to road dog it like other bands without kids have been able to do. And also, you could do it without being such a great parent, but that's not the goal either. I want to be there.
Right.
So, so I think like the festival circuit's going to be the way to go if we are able to tour. And, or I can convince my guys to, be down to do like tribute shows.
Oh, there you go.
Or like, play at bars, because we crush all the covers. Rob can sing all of them, really, and I can sing some and stuff. Alex is starting to sing more, but I think the way to do it is to play our originals and make more music. And I'm going to I haven't done it yet, but I've been telling people they can order cassette tapes. I just hand make them, like
Oh, wow.
I use my. Yeah, I mean, because people don't have CD players anyway. So,
all right, I'll show you the other side of my room.
Yeah,
there's my wall of CDs.
Well, nice. Yeah.
So
awesome.
I've got somewhere little over, I'm gonna say 3,500. So
wow.
So I still buy them. I'm like the one guy who still buys them.
I've got to mail you one, man.
There you go. Oh yeah.
It's easy. It's easier than ever to do it, actually. And so, like, yeah, I'm going to work on it. I kind of like, I've been putting the money that you put into it, it's like I've been saving up and then putting into it and saving up, putting into it. And like the album just got out. I put in money for publicity and stuff. So
yeah,
I just need to put in a little more for the CDs and stuff. But you're certainly, talking to you and seeing your collection is very motivating to do it for real.
Tell that to my wife. I'm gonna isolate that, and I'm gonna play that for my wife on a loop. Well, man, what is the social media for the band? How can people follow you and see if you do hook onto a festival circuit, or if they're in New Orleans and can maybe catch a gig that you guys are playing locally there?
Yeah, we're pretty active-ish on Instagram, and Instagram mostly. Facebook also, but I sometimes forget to post on Facebook because there's so much to do. We have our band website, so, and we're all our shows are listed on Bands in Town, which gets sent to Spotify and even YouTube and Apple Music and stuff. So even if you just go check out the band on when you're listening, you'll see where we're playing next. Oh, which is pretty cool. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, Smitti, this has been a blast. I've really enjoyed speaking with you. I know your day's just getting started, so eat something awesome in Thailand for me, real cheap.
I will, definitely.
And then text me a picture of it and let me know what it is. But
okay.
Thank you so much for the time tonight. It's been a blast talking with you. If you ever get into DC, the Virginia, Maryland, DC area with any of your bands, I would love to catch a show. You got to let me know, and I do a lot of concert photography in the area. I'll shoot some. I'll trade you. You get me a photo pass. I'll trade you some photos for it.
That's awesome. That's great to know. And I'd be happy to even, like, if I'm just seeing passing, because I travel a lot, I'll just come by and buy you a drink. And
that would be great.
Say hi. That's great to know. Thank you so much for, like, listening to the album, and it's like it really means a lot to actually have somebody who has listened to it and digs it, and it's really nice to have. I really appreciate you for providing an outlet to tell a story about the music and everything. Life. It's about life. Yeah.
wishing